I'm not going to be giving you guys the generic tips that every other booktuber gives you. I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty tips on how to actually read more. Number one is to have a list of books that you want to read, whether it's a TBR card, a Goodreads want to read list, whatever. Just have some books in the back of your mind that you know you want to get through. This motivates you to finish the book that you're currently reading and to then move on to another book. For me personally, whenever I'm reading this book, but I have books in the back of my mind that I also want to read, it makes me crave to read even more, which continues my desire to pick up a book after I finish. Something that is helpful to me is having a yearly list of the books that I want to read. For example, this one was my 2021 list, my 2022 list, my 2023 list, which was 2.25 page long, and then we have my 2025 list. Now, let's be honest, I'm not going to be reading every single book on this list, but it is still satisfying to be able to tick them off. And in general, just having a list of books that you're excited to read makes you motivated to read even further because you already have books that you're super hyped to get to. The next thing is to visit your local library and to borrow books. Now, obviously, the library is great. It's free. You get access to a range of books, which will help you discover some new books rather than going to a bookstore, thinking that a book looks really nice. You pick it up, you read it. You didn't exactly love it. When you go to a library, obviously, you have access to a lot of books that you are able to read for free. And the good thing about the library as well is that you get a time limit. Normally, I think it's around 3 weeks, but you have a specific deadline for when you need to finish a book, which can encourage people to actually read. Going to the library itself shows intent that you want to go pick up a book, bring it home, and read it. Having a pile of books where you know you're going to have to return them eventually, rather than going to a bookstore buying books where you know that it can sit on your shelf for a really long time. The library can hold you accountable, is basically what I'm trying to say. And having a deadline definitely helps people to read more and even faster. Let's be honest, you guys, we go to the bathroom with our phones. And if you don't, good on you, you're a very healthy person. But with a lot of people in our generation being very addicted to their phones and being addicted to TikTok in general, you can't help to go to the bathroom with your phone and then just like doom scroll while you're in there. What I personally do instead of bringing my phone in, I bring my Kindle. I don't know why, but the bathroom in general is a place where I kind of relax. Oftentimes before or after I shower, I do tend to read just to chill a little bit, take care of myself. I will brush my hair, apply my skincare, and I will also multitask by reading my book. A majority of the time when I'm not super hyped to read a book, that's actually where I get most of my reading done, because when you're in your bedroom, it's a place where you are distracted by both your bed and your other forms of electronic. But the bathroom is, a bathroom. There is still some sense of, you obviously don't want to stay there for a really long time, and your goal is either to do your business on the toilet or to shower. And obviously, I don't know the habits of everybody when it comes to doing your business in the bathroom, but if you are taking your phone into the bathroom, you can also take in an ebook. I personally wouldn't recommend bringing a book because I feel like that will get somewhat messy. Honestly, with me, I chill a lot in the bathroom. Before I shower, sometimes I just wait like 10 minutes just to read on my Kindle, because for some weird reason it makes me focus. This tip is probably helpful for those who bring their phones in the bathroom. If you don't, then obviously this doesn't apply to you, and honestly, good for you. This is something that I tend to do, which is to read multiple books at the same time, and normally I would say the maximum is 2 books. Basically what happens is that I start a book, I enjoy it, but halfway through I do tend to get bored. And I don't get bored because it's a bad book, I get bored because I just get bored. Sometimes you just need a break, and I don't want to take a break from the book. I want to keep reading, but I just feel like I can't read that specific book in general right now. What I do is I read to the halfway point, and then I pick up another book, read to the halfway point of that book, and then just go back and forth until when I finish both of the books. I think this helps because if you're reading a book and you get kind of bored, instead of forcing yourself to finish reading it, or instead of putting it down, you can start reading another book, enjoy it, and then when you get bored of that book, you flip back to the other book, and then you end up finishing both of those books at the same time. Something that I used to do as well is to read 100 pages of one book and then start another book, read 100 pages, and then flip back and forth. This helps as well with your attention span because sometimes you just cannot get through one thing straight away. And this is a good way to take a break from reading while actually not taking a break from reading. You're taking a break from that book, but you're still reading another book. When it comes to reading physical books, this is something that I used to do. For example, this is the page that I'm currently on. What I would do is I would put my bookmark, whether it's on a specific page or a specific chapter, and I will use this bookmark as a goal of where I want to finish reading. For example, I'm having a reading session. I want to read maybe, I don't know, like 100 pages or a couple of chapters. I put the bookmark there because once I reach the place where the bookmark is, I can obviously stop reading. And something that I also do as well is when I read, I hold the pages that I read. Instead of just turning it and letting it go, what I do is every single time I turn the page, I hold onto the page that I'm reading. I don't really know if this makes sense. It just feels good to know the amount of pages that you've read at the end of your reading session. Once I reach this bookmark goal, I would have read this much pages. It makes you realize that the most intimidating part of a book is obviously the amount of pages that you have to read. But when you have a reading session and you kind of see the amount of pages that you read and you realize, oh, it's actually a lot of pages that I've gone through, again, it motivates you to read more. And I feel like in general, I just think that having a goal of what you want to read is pretty nice, and using a physical mark is better than just having it in your head that, oh, I want to read up to this page. Putting your bookmark there instead, if you reach that page, then you can just close the book. You don't even need to put your bookmark in the book. It's already in the book. My last tip, which I mean this literally, is to start your own booktube channel. And creating my booktube channel has helped me read so much. And I'm not saying this in a way where, oh, I read books to film for booktube. It's more like I read books and I'm like, oh, why don't I just film this for booktube as well? So even if I wasn't filming videos, I would still be reading the same amount of books and the same books in general and getting through my want to read list. But if I'm being honest, booktube has helped because it has encouraged me to read outside of my comfort zone, to read within certain themes where I am exploring books. My phone ran out of storage, so I kind of don't remember what I was last talking about. What was I really talking about? Anyways, I feel like doing booktube has definitely led me to explore so many different types of genre and to push me out of my comfort zone. But at the same time, it has really encouraged me to read more and actually has held me accountable to read books that I've been wanting to read for a really long time. I have done multiple series where I've been trying to get through series that I'm in the middle of, and while filming those videos, I have actually successfully gone through series that I wanted to finish. This year I finished so many series which I wouldn't have done if it wasn't for booktube. And I know this because there are certain series where I have started it like ages ago and I never finished it until now because I knew that I wanted to get through them eventually, but a part of me was also just not bothered to pick it up until I told myself, you're gonna film a video, you're gonna read those books, you have to hold yourself accountable to finish those books, and booktube was the one who made me did that. In general, it's just fun to be able to read books and to talk about your thoughts and feelings on the books that you've read, and it's good to also just look back and see how your style in reviewing has changed over time. Booktube as well has helped me become more immersed in the books that I'm reading, because in the past I would normally read for entertainment. Now I still am reading for entertainment, but I also do try and think about these books more critically and how I would be able to tell people about the books that I'm reading, what they're about, how I felt while reading the book. And I genuinely think that this has changed the way that I read, but for the better. And honestly, it's just so fun to film and edit videos. Those are my tips on how I read more, and I would say I still use a majority of these tips, literally every one of them, besides the physical books one, because I don't really read physical books anymore. But all these tips that I mentioned in this video, I still use to this day, and I'm a very fast reader in general, so I'm able to get through books quickly. But I feel like having these tips has encouraged me and made me want to read even more, which then will obviously lead you to read more. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope these tips actually helped you. Please like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I will see you guys in another one. Bye!